Hello and welcome to another edition of the PHNX D-backs podcast right here on PHNX. I, of course, am your mayor of PHNX, occasionally known as Derek Montilla, and I'm joined by my vice mayor, my friend, co-host, the person that reels me in. It's the one and only Thunderstick Jesse Friedman.
It's a nice little sticker you got on the microphone there, Derek.
You
Is
like
that
that?
due this week for the live
you
show?
like that? That is the sticker pack I've been whining about that I didn't order because I rectified that. I told you about my little Valentine's Day package that I got sent to me, Jesse, and of course,
Yes.
I didn't forget to love myself and get myself a sticker pack. Take the loving yourself however you want to, but of course, this show is brought to you by the fine folks at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. You know what weekend it is. It's Super Bowl weekend. It's Super Bowl 56, and DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56. Get in on the action. New customers will get 56-1 odds on either team. Bet just $5. Use our code of PHNX, and you will get $280 in free bets if your team wins. Jesse, we have a lot to talk about. MLB is no longer testing for steroids. They're no longer testing for steroids. Well, at least right now for the time being, because their nearly 20-year long agreement, which is tied to the CBA that expired on December 1st, is no longer valid.
Sure.
So right now, I at least can take all the steroids that I want, and MLB can't come after me. But what's obviously with the new CBA, we'll probably see some sort of new policy, I imagine, right? We're not going to just let this get out of control and just let
Now
people
that
do what
would
they want.
baseball has done a lot of egregious things over the last few months, but could you imagine if immediately after not allowing Barry Bonds into the Hall of Fame, which granted that wasn't MLB itself. I mean, that was the writers that I guess are at fault
Sure.
there. But
Sure.
still, if that happened and then, a month or two later, all of a sudden they stopped testing for steroids altogether, that would be a pretty hilarious story that honestly would just kind of encapsulate the state of baseball right now and how things just don't really make sense across the board. But here we are.
Yes, and good evening to you guys all, everybody in the chat. Good evening to our friend Evan Thompson, Brett, and Chris Melton all in the chat. Brett Johnson says MLB said Bonds isn't eligible. All right, you can take him now. And yes, that's exactly it. You're going to set all the records. That makes us look bad. But hey, if you just want to recover from an injury, we'll look the other way now. Obviously, that's not the direction they're going. I wonder if we'll see as part of a CBA any change to their system as far as drug testing is concerned, steroids is concerned. I mean, there are some things that are archaic when it comes to certain drug testing policies, and certain leagues have lightened up on things like marijuana and other things. I don't even know if that's part of MLB's drug testing, but I know that in some cases, obviously their own rules have made certain guys in different sports, have to come up, even though they were taking what they thought were legal, okay, treatments or whatever for an injury. But I feel like at times this is less and less of an issue, and maybe it's less and less of an issue, hopefully with the Hall of Fame voting, so that we can, get Chris Melton everything that she wants, which is they're using right now this as a ploy to trick players that will eventually be barred from the Hall. Yes, exactly. That's what she's go ahead and take them for the time being. Anyway, so I don't know, Jesse, anything that you feel like is going to come from this, or are we just going to see the same policy implemented once the CBA is hopefully negotiated?
That's a good question. I'm not really aware of any gripes that people have with the current system. There are a lot of gripes about many things in the game of baseball, but that's not really something that you hear players talking about a whole lot. At least that's not at the top of their list. They have bigger fish to fry at this point. I am curious though, could you get away with something during this period of time where there isn't testing? Like, could you, do some sort of PED thing now and then get it out of your system in time? Once
or just say, hey, I was doing it when it wasn't when it wasn't barred.
Yeah,
Technically,
yeah,
there.
like that's just leftovers from a couple months ago when y'all weren't testing us. That's a
I
fair
know I'm
that's a
showing
fair
my
point.
age here, but all I can think of is the Friends episode when Ross and Rachel were on a break. It's like we were on a break. We were on a break from steroid testing. Everything was
Sure.
it was Amsterdam for that month and a half. Everything was legal. I don't know. Robert York says let's get lit, and I can't agree with him more. And you know what? Chris Melton makes a great point. Sticky stuff is the new PED. I feel like after what we saw this season, one thing that they might be more focusing on is the umpire's ability to literally strip search the pitcher after the inning just to check them and
Yeah.
see if they have any sticky stuff on them, right?
Yeah, that's definitely the bigger thing. That is something that probably will factor into this new CBA is exactly how exactly do we want that to be done? Do we want umpires basically harassing pitchers coming off the mound so frequently during games? The optics of it are a little bit strange. So that is something that could come up for sure.
That Caleb Smith incident will forever live in my brain just because,
Yeah, yeah.
like not only, I don't know. Sometimes when you see people react in a way you personally would react if you got accused of doing something you didn't do,
Yeah.
it kind of you're like, okay, I relate to that. That's how I would react if I didn't do this,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of like when you see someone accused of murder and they're way too calm about it. You're like, no, I'd be screaming my head off and begging people to hear me out because I didn't do the thing, right? I wouldn't be all like, yes, I understand these charges, right? So there's things like that to me, like when Caleb Smith reacted in the way he did, and he was so furious about it, both in the moment and then after the game. Yeah, I mean, there was a part of me that was like, I don't know why, but I believe him. I believe he didn't do anything wrong. And
Yeah.
Brett Johnson says that day Caleb Smith was prepared to murder a man, and he's not
Right.
lying. He was going to beat up the entire officiating crew, is what he was going to take on every
It's
single
kind
umpire in
of
that game.
it's kind of like and I don't want to badmouth TSA agents because I mean they have a job to do and many of them are really quite pleasant, but it in some ways relates to the extensive pat down that for whatever reason you set off the little machine and your bag was randomly selected for search and they have to take it aside and you're gonna miss your flight and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And there's just something about
They're
these
doing their
things that we
job.
do. Yeah, they're doing their job, but it's kind of a formality. Like we're not really trying to, do anything on this airplane. We're not trying to mess anything up. We're just trying to be safe like everyone else. And Caleb Smith is like, yeah, I'm not trying to cheat. I'm just trying to go about my business. And, you guys, I know you're just doing your job, but your job doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right? Your job is just like fundamentally flawed. And
You
I
bring
think
up
we've
bad
all felt
memories
that.
for me with the TSA stuff, by the way, because the TSA,
Yeah,
I
they're
left
a
too much water in
delightful
my water
bunch.
bottle. And
Oh,
oh yeah. Like I had to dump it out, but then I also had to go back through TSA again and stand in line
oh
again
no.
for them
Just
to
to dump it out,
recheck my
don't they
bag.
normally have like trash cans or something?
Right
Like
there, I
you just do
dumped
it
it out
right
right in
there.
front of them. I still had to go back through TSA again. Those monsters, they made me go
Wow.
back through the line again.
Wow.
Oh, it
Mm.
was the worst. Chris Melton says, I still don't think he cheated, even if there was a thing. I agree with her there. Evan Thompson says, I will go to my grave believing Caleb didn't do it. And see, Evan was there with me in the press box that day, and we both
Right.
feel that way. But, it is what it is. By the way, Jesse, I got caught today. Speaking of getting caught, speaking of Caleb getting caught, I
Uh-oh.
got caught today doing something that I shouldn't have been doing, but I
This
did it
is the most
anyway.
egregious thing out of all the things that we're talking about. This is really the worst.
Yeah, let's just bring it up. Our friend Josh at Huntstar05 tweeted to us, were you guys just waiting for someone to notice the Taylor Swift references as the podcast titles, or was that already mentioned? And no, Josh, I was actually actively doing that as a fun joke for myself personally until somebody noticed, and you didn't even make it a week. Not even 1 week, Jesse, with my obsession with Taylor Swift, by the way, who's a national treasure. And I got caught
You're obsessed with
myself.
Taylor Swift, huh?
She's fantastic, Jesse. Show me something, wrong about anything with Taylor Swift. Don't even get me started. But yes, no,
Mm.
adore Taylor Swift, and it just seemed at times like these titles were perfect for episodes. I didn't even mean to do it. I started off by calling the episode where you somehow just very irresponsibly let me spend as much money as I wanted to fix the Diamondbacks. So I called that Wildest Dreams, because whenever I was writing about these ideas I had,
Sure.
they were my wildest dreams, but I was also, of course, singing that song in my head, too, while I was doing that. So, but yes, apparently I got, I didn't make it a week. So
You're not. I feel like around here, Derek, you have to be pretty careful because there's people out there like Josh Hunt who are just so dialed in to everything that we do.
Yeah.
You can't really get away with anything with
I
people
still
like
call
Josh
it
floating
Mailbag
around.
Monday. I still called it Mailbag Monday. I knew if I changed that one, everybody would notice, right? So,
Yeah, sure.
yes. And Brett Johnson says we all have our Taylor Swift that we will simp for, is what he has. His is Zach Gallen, and yes, Zach Gallen can't do any wrong. So I know exactly where you stand as far as Zach Gallen goes. As a matter of fact, today I was playing on MLB The Show, and I pitched a perfect game with Zach Gallen against the Cincinnati Reds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't you get some sort of award for that or something? Or I guess is it like the first person to pitch a perfect game on MLB The Show gets some grandiose award? They
Yeah,
win $1
but
million or something.
you have to be playing on hard, I believe, in order to
You can't be
achieve
playing on
something on
rookie
that.
like you were today,
Yeah,
I'm
like I
guessing.
was, right?
Do you actually
Uh,
play on rookie when you play MLB
yeah,
The
well,
Show?
I'm here to have fun. I'm not trying to prove anything. What am I
Wow.
supposed to put it on? Veteran? I'm no veteran. Get out of here. I'm not good at
Wow.
baseball games. I'm not here for a long time, Jesse. I'm here for a good time. I don't want to throw the controller. Have you seen how expensive those things are and how much they
Sure, that's
technologically
fair.
sound? They vibrate, they talk, they have a speaker in them. I can't throw that controller like I used to throw the good
All
old
I'm
Nintendo
saying, Derek,
controller.
all I'm saying is that
Hmm.
if we play MLB The Show against each other at some point on the air, if
Oh.
you're playing on rookie, man, it may not end well for you. So
Well, I'm throwing
I'm
perfect
just giving
games on
you a
rookie.
forewarning.
I'm throwing perfect games on rookie. Let's just throw it.
All right. I
Let's
mean,
get it right.
it's
I'm not being challenged. I'm just doing it for the fun. However, you definitely are right about that perfect game thing. Brett Johnson brings up 2K used to have a promo to be the first one to throw a perfect game on the hardest difficulty, and you'd win $1 million. And
okay.
yeah, but I do remember there were very specific rules. You had to, at the time, videotape yourself doing it, and there could be no edits to the video or anything like that. It was a very
Sure.
specific, there's very specific rules to how you could win that money. But yes, of course, speaking of winning money, it's Super Bowl weekend, y'all. Go win some money. If you're a new customer, you haven't gotten in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, I don't know what you're waiting for, but you may have waited for the perfect time, because new customers right now get 56-1 odds on whichever team you want to bet on. My heart says the Bengals. My head says the Rams. I don't know. We'll find out on Thursday where I'm going to put my money. But of course, new customers get 56-1 odds at Super Bowl 56 on either team. Bet just $5 using our code of PHNX and get $280 in free bets. But if you're not a new customer, you join me. Let's get in on the prop bets. All right. We got you could take your
There you
shot by
go.
predicting props like if a non-quarterback will throw a pass, fourth down conversions, total yardage, and so much more. I need some sort of over-under on how long the halftime show is going to go. I know it's typically timed, but you don't tell Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg what to do. You don't.
Oh, is that
No,
who it is?
no. Oh,
Oh,
it's Dr. Dre, it's Snoop Dogg, it's Eminem, Mary J. Blige. Jesse, I'm going to live out my hip hop fantasies from the late '90s because, of course, I am a hip hop kid. So I'm going to enjoy the hell out of that halftime show. But again, you don't tell G's what to do, and of course, they're going to take as much time as they want. So I'll take the over on whatever the prop bet is for the
okay.
halftime time. But again, that's what we're going to do for old customers like us. New customers get in on the action with those 56-1 odds using code PHNX. Bet just $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. That's promo code PHNX over at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56. 21 and over only, Arizona only. Gambling problem? Dial 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And yeah, we are apparently Evan Thompson in our chat says, I will destroy both of you in MLB The Show, fellas. So that sounds like a challenge. We're going to have to set
Game
that
on,
up.
Evan. Game
And Brett
on.
Johnson's bringing up some sort of MLB The Show tourney, which I will probably lose apparently because I play on rookie, but it is what it is. I'm fine with that kind of loss. But what I'm happy about is we talked about the farm system ranking, I believe, for Baseball America, and as far as the Arizona Diamondbacks dropping down to 10th, but our man Keith Law over at The Athletic, he did right by us, and he has ranked the Arizona Diamondbacks much higher. Let's take a look at Keith Law's top 5 farm systems
Number
according to his latest
3.
article.
All
And the
right.
Arizona Diamondbacks, that's right, bouncing up from number 5 to number 3. Toronto Blue Jays were number 3 last year. They dropped down to number 5. Tampa Bay Rays had the number 1 system in Keith Law's in Keith Law's mind. They dropped down to number 4. Diamondbacks up from number 5 to number 3. We have the Seattle Mariners in there, up from 13th to 2nd, making the biggest leap. And of course, the Diamondbacks once again play second fiddle to the Los Angeles Dodgers, who now have the number 1 ranked farm system in Major League Baseball. A big part of Keith Law's reasoning here for the Arizona Diamondbacks had to do with Alec Thomas and Corbin Carroll. He was very excited about getting some of the guys back. He even brought up Christian Robinson in his piece. So not to be forgotten as of yet, Mr. Robinson there. But what are your thoughts there on his ranking of their farm system?
Well, honestly, when I saw the list, I was just really hoping that Los Angeles at number 1 was talking about the Angels rather than the Dodgers. So that's my initial reaction. But let's be fair. The Angels haven't touched the top 5 on a prospect list in quite some time. So that was probably wishful thinking. But yeah, I think it's pretty clear that Keith really likes the Diamondbacks farm system. Probably more so than other people. I mean, we talked earlier about how Baseball America has the Diamondbacks at number 10. Which we felt was maybe a little bit on the lower end. But yeah, I mean, Keith Law just released rankings with 7 Diamondbacks in his top 100, which is a very, very big number. And a lot of Keith's belief in this Diamondbacks farm system has to do with him not just believing they have good depth. I think that's something that people think across the board with the Diamondbacks farm system, that there's, especially on the pitching side, there's just so many different names that intrigue you, that even if they're not all, top of the rotation types, there's just so many guys that project, that have a really good, solid projection into the major leagues moving forward, that a lot of people see the Diamondbacks as having a good farm system just for that reason. The difference here is that Keith Law looks, as you said, at Alec Thomas and Corbin Carroll and Jordan Lawler and says, these guys really could be stars in this league. They really could be, elite players in this league, whereas maybe, some other talent evaluators might see those guys as more, solid average or above average players, solid everyday players on a big league roster, but not necessarily perennial all-star types. So that's a big difference. And obviously only time will tell what the outcome is here, but it's good to see Keith being as optimistic as he is about this Diamondbacks farm system.
I feel like the coaching plays into it so much too. Like, I have never personally been this excited about the coaching staff, right? I fell into the allure a bit of the Dave Stewart, Tony La Russa regime coming in here. So that excited me a little bit when they first got here. Obviously, the thought there is what TLR and Stewart have as far as experience goes and everything there. But this is different. This is the direct actual coaching staff, not the front office, not the guys making the decision.
It's a little concerning when you look at the people in your front office and you're like, oh, they'd be a great coaching staff. And then you realize, oh gosh, they're in the front office.
They're not the ones
down
doing
there on
this
on the field with the players, right?
Right. So it's definitely more about that. I think that there's just this absolute hope with, again, not only the current players on the team improving, but this farm system. This farm system is already ranked so highly. These guys are already so good. To be able to come up into the loving hands of Joe Mather, Jeff Bannister, Brent Strom and Tori Lavello, it's like the perfect atmosphere. It feels like. I don't know how long they can keep
Yeah.
this group of coaches together, but I think as long as these guys can come up and have their initial soft landing in the major leagues fall under their regime, under their tutelage, I feel like it can be so beneficial to their careers. So how lucky these guys in this organization really are that now have this as their coaching
Yeah.
staff rather than and this is no knock to the prior coaching staff, but the prior coaching staff did not have this level of experience, nor did they have this track record of showing how much they've improved teams that they've worked with in the past, like Mather and Strom specifically have, right? So
Yeah.
it's great to see this combination of good coaching mixed with this, potential of this farm system. And I don't know, because he didn't mention in his piece necessarily the coaching, if that factors in, or if he's just mostly talking about the farm system as it stands right now, not necessarily their potential or impact on the major league club. It's just so much more needed than the Dodgers, right? Like the Dodgers are just rich in every single way. In every way, they have this superior
Yeah.
farm system. They are able to gobble up any free agent that they want. They can add guys, they can trade and improve through trades because they have so much depth and they have so many assets. It's frustrating to be in the same division as the Dodgers, which again goes back to the idea that the Diamondbacks have to wait for a window where the
Yeah.
Dodgers are vulnerable to finally go for it.
That's really the disaster on this list is the reality that the Dodgers are number one. I mean, I want to make it clear to people, as much as we love to, talk about the Dodgers and how deep their pockets are and, the advantages that they have over the other teams in the division. The reality is the Dodgers are just a really well-run organization across the board.
Correct.
And I
Yes.
recognize that on a Diamondbacks podcast, I may be subjecting myself to some animosity by saying that, but it's
But it's
just the
the truth.
reality.
You got to speak the truth,
Yeah.
right? I mean, even their executives, even their front end guys that come up as assistants within the organization come off and go elsewhere and get better jobs there because there isn't space for them to grow with the Dodgers. And even the guys that they, have come up as assistants and other pieces of their front office and their coaching staff go on to have success elsewhere. They're sprouting
Yeah.
success. I mean, even when you look at the way that the Braves, had success, a big part of it was the players that the Dodgers couldn't keep, right? Like they
Yeah.
couldn't keep Jock Peterson and he had to go elsewhere, and then he ends up coming back to, be a big part of the team that does win the World Series, right? And yeah, I mean, uh, Brett has a great point here. The Dodgers turn dirt into gold with their scouting and coaching.
Yeah.
I wish we
So
had that,
true.
and it's so
Yeah.
true, right? Because even it's not even the free agents, it's not even the spending, it's not even the trades, it's not even the farm system. It's their ability to go and pick up guys off of other teams' trash heap,
Yeah.
quote
Yes.
unquote, and then turn them, like Max Muncy and Justin Turner, into stars on their team, right? So there's just a lot of positive things going on within that organization and their ability to find talent and retain it. I mean, they're at a point once this entire lockout ends that they're going to be in a little bit of a bind as far as spending goes and things, who they're going to keep, who they're going to move on, who might move on, on their own choice, like Kershaw and others that have been parts of this team for a long time. But it still doesn't seem to matter because the Dodgers are going to continue to be good, even if they lose key pieces that have currently, been a part of their franchise. But I'm done talking about the
Yeah.
Dodgers. I'd rather talk
Yeah.
about
Let's
Taylor
let's move
Swift.
on.
Let's just talk about Taylor Swift more. I don't know. I might write an article over at gophnx.com about Taylor Swift. We'll see. But right now you can go over and get my thoughts again on the lockout, my frustrations, my heavily biased opinion on blaming the owners here in this situation. But whatever you think, please give me your feedback, what your thoughts are on that piece and anything else we have on gophnx.com. Don't complain to me about Jesse's articles. Complain to him about them. But if you're
Right.
not a member already, sign up to become an annual member. You'll get that free, beautiful t-shirt over at phnxlocker.com, whichever one you want. Keep it for yourself. Give it to your loved one as a gift. like I'm doing. Whatever you want to do, but make sure you get yourself that sticker pack. I know you're going to forget, and then you're going to regret it, and then you're going to wish you'd had, like I did for 6 months or however long. But please go over to gophnx.com. If you don't choose to become an annual member, sign up for the month-to-month option. You'll get your first month for just 50 cents. And go over to phnxlocker.com. Get yourself a shirt. If you're already a member, get yourself another shirt. Wait for one of these discounts maybe, and then jump in on that. The PHNX Rising shirt's amazing, though. And like I said, I'm really mad that I missed that by the same day that it came out. I put in my order on the same day it came out. But yeah, Evan Thompson, Justin Turner was a cast off. Then look what happened. Chris says, Evan, we don't use his name. And yes, you're right. I shouldn't have earlier. And I apologize. We call him by his real name around here. And that's Gritty. He's Gritty. But Jesse and I, we had a fun suggestion in the Discord. Again, if you're a gophnx.com member, you can jump into the members only Discord and give us ideas for the show, and we will absolutely follow through on them. We ranked, at least I did, every jersey in Arizona Diamondbacks history, folks. Every single one. Jesse found that to be too daunting of a task. Wow. Jesse had a hard time deciding on his top 5. So unfortunately,
I did.
You don't get to see my full list of 24 jerseys that I ranked. Some ties, because there's some very similar jerseys in their past. For those curious, the gradient jerseys fell very low on my list. Very, very, very low. Most of them, not all of them. One of them snuck in pretty high just because I kind of like the teal gray gradient
jersey. The teal gray is the best one for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So let's take a look first at my list, ranking the best D-backs jerseys. Of course, not one but 2 vests made it onto this jersey list. I was looking again at that gray pinstripe vest at number 5, and that is just a sharp with a black shirt underneath. Sharp looking jersey. I wish they would have never gone away from the vests. What I will say about the vests is I never really had a strong interest in owning them. I never wanted them because it just didn't look appealing, like the kind of thing that I would be able to pull off wearing casually as a fan. But that makes it even better. It makes it like it has this level of exclusivity that it's only for players to wear on the jersey or on the field, at least in my eyes. Number 4, yes, the Serpientes jersey snuck in at number 4.
Okay.
I love this jersey. I think it's great. It's actually the exact opposite of what I just said about the pinstripe vest jersey and the other vest jersey. I think anybody wearing this looks very, very sharp casually. I love this jersey casually. On the field, yeah, it does get a little lost. It's a little plain. I'm kind of a classic plain kind of guy, though, when it comes to baseball jerseys. I like some of the older baseball jersey designs, and I'm not typically, a big, I don't like them to be super flashy. That's why some of these on the list are pretty simple. Number 3 is the white and teal current jersey, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Then I have here coming in at the top, number 2 and number 1, the classic Arizona A black jersey from 1999 and the Arizona A pinstripe vest coming in at number 1 as the best jersey in D-backs history. I can't wait to get raked over the coals here. Los, not Los. I don't know about that. I saw Los on a lot of stuff that they put out, but you could be right about that. Robert York says gradient jerseys are his fave. No shame. You should have shame.
Wow.
Brett Johnson says the purple Arizona ones need more love. I don't disagree with you. It was very close. It was in my top 10. Just didn't make my top 5. Evan Thompson says he got the white vest for Christmas in 97 and he still has it. Yes, those are very, very good. Let's take a look at Jesse's top 5. Which
here we go.
These were tough. These were tough for Jesse to get to. Jesse overthought this very much, yet we came very close on some of our ideas. This one up at the top for number 5, not the correct jersey. That is not the correct jersey in the picture. It should be very similar to his number 3 jersey, which is the Arizona A black, but with the red, Sedona red and sand colored in there, which I do like that one a lot. We also agree there about the white and teal current jersey. I like that one a lot too. We have 3 of the same ones on our list, the Arizona A black. And of course, we both ranked the Arizona A pinstripe vest at number 1, but you have the black Arizona jersey, which I also love there in at number 2.
The number 5 is supposed to be, like you said, it's supposed to be the black with the Sedona red A, so pretty similar to number 3. That one I remember the team used to wear on Saturdays all the time, like when I was growing up, and so I have memories of every time I would go to Chase Field on a Saturday. It was especially exciting because they would wear that
The
black
black with the
uniform.
red, right? Yeah.
And it was always I always thought it was the coolest one at the time. I think we're both in agreement that outside of that uniform, I don't really find any of those initial Sedona red uniforms to be very compelling. I think the more recent ones are better. The other thing I noticed here, Derek, is you had 2 2020 uniforms. I had 1. I feel like the current uniforms are pretty good. Like we all want the purple and teal back full time. But I think we also are in agreement that the Diamondbacks' current uniforms are pretty solid. Like I would take them over probably most teams in baseball, contrary to what a lot of people think. Ever since they did the weird gradient thing, people just have very negative thoughts toward the Diamondbacks uniform choices.
A lot of people didn't even notice that they removed it. To be honest, I have people still bring up that the
Yeah,
gradient's on there,
yeah.
and I'm like, nah,
Once you
actually, that
do it,
hasn't
you
been on there
can't.
for a
It
while.
takes like several decades before you can, possibly get that out of people's minds. But
Yeah. And Brett Johnson agrees with you on those black Arizona unis. They were clean. I just love the detail of all of those uniforms of that time, especially the black ones, because they were so like cool in being black. But then
yeah,
they just had so much character to them. The details in the sleeve trim and the A was just, again, I almost feel like it was underappreciated, similar to the way the Coyotes Kachina jersey is underappreciated,
sure.
right? Like at times, especially in the 90s and early 90s and maybe even earlier than that, Arizona stuff just wasn't cool. Like
Yeah,
like the stuff from Arizona just wasn't cool. And I don't know when it did, but God bless like State 48 and all of those clothing designers and everybody that came in and just loved this state and hugged it and made like so many parts of it part of their clothing and their gear and their everything. And then the teams that did it too, right? Like the thought of the Coyotes Kachina jersey designer being here in Arizona in a hotel and then walking down to the gift shop and seeing Kachinas for the first time, the Kachina dolls, and then that's what like inspired him to come up with the design is awesome, because that's such an Arizona thing, right? Like all
sure.
of that kind of stuff, and honestly, even finding weird Arizona stuff that you've never seen before in a gift shop is kind of an Arizona thing, right? Like that's where we find, like, people think we eat like gum with rattlesnakes in it and shit like that when they don't live here. They have no idea. We don't ever we don't eat any of that shit, man. We don't do that stuff. But it's the stuff they see when they're like in the airport here and whatnot. So they think for some reason it's actually part of our culture.
Sure.
Scorpion tails and all that kind of shit.
Oh
But
my
anyway,
gosh.
I will say that the Diamondbacks in their short history have some really cool jerseys. And I
They
really
do. They
think
really do.
I really think what we want is just a celebration of, that old jersey coming back. I think I was so skeptical on them incorporating the teal into the Sedona red. And I love it so much. I'm wearing it right now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I love this stuff. I think it's great.
It's better than nothing. It's better
It
than
is.
nothing. I
Yeah,
don't
we'll
think
take
we're
what
gonna
we
get
can get.
purple back, but getting the teal back is at least some sort of compromise that we can deal with.
I'm guilty because I personally was a bit excited when we did the Sedona red and black, because I felt like, because that was the same time that the Coyotes changed over to their red and
Oh, so
sand.
you
And
were on board? You wanted
I
it at the time?
you here's why. When I was a kid, my nurse had a poster up in her office of the Pittsburgh Pirates teams all having the same color scheme, the yellow and black. It was all the Pittsburgh teams, the
Mm,
Pirates, the Steelers, and the Penguins. They all had the same color scheme. And I
sure,
remember,
sure.
because I used to go in and fake I was sick of a lot when I was a kid, looking at that poster quite a bit and always thinking like how cool it would be if Arizona had a bunch of teams that all had the same colors. So like I think just deep
Oh,
down inside, I always wanted that, where they all got on board with the same color scheme that represented our state. And we were basically there, like outside of the Suns. We had the Cardinals, we had the Coyotes, and we had the Diamondbacks, all with very similar color schemes. And like, I liked that and appreciated it for the moment. But then it just got to be very drab, and it got to be very
Eventually, you
boring.
realize
And
that all of the other professional sports teams also wear red.
yeah, well, yeah,
And Sedona red
there's
was
that.
not really a very unique shade of red. It was a
No, you're right
pretty
about that.
standard-looking red.
You're right about that. So, all right. Well, you guys, I'm sure you'll get to us on Twitter and tell us all of your thoughts on your jerseys, your rankings. We'd love to hear about it. Tell Jesse how wrong he was, like you did the other day on the Shelby Miller shit that he brought up with the jerseys, because I love
knew I
that you
would take
drug him
flack
for
for
it.
that,
I
but you
don't
asked me
care.
a question, and I
I
just had
know.
to
Well,
had to answer it honestly. It wasn't an opinion. It was
I
just
think
that's
it
who I
was just
thought
what
of.
came out, right? Like, if that was me with Justin Upton, I said that. So how could I not stick with it when I literally said, "Oh, the Justin Upton years" or whatever? Like, how is that not the first person I thought of? Paul Goldschmidt was a much better answer, and I think several people said that in the comments or on Twitter, and I agree. I don't know how we missed
He didn't
Paul
come
Goldschmidt on
around
that
for
one.
several years though. Like he wasn't around
That's,
until
I think maybe
4
that's it.
years
Yeah,
after. So I don't
yeah.
like you can't really fault. It's not a matter of opinion. It's just like who do you think of first when you think of those uniforms? And they're probably players who wore the uniforms right when they came out. And that was Shelby Miller and that was Justin Upton for the '07 uniforms. And that's just sort of the way it is.
Yep. Brandon Buckingham says, "I want baseball back," and damn it, Brandon, I do too.
I do
Brett
too.
Johnson
Yeah.
says, "I'd take the current ones over the Join the Revolution 2016 ones." Brett,
Oh
Brett,
yes.
I was at that fashion show. I brought this up before, but I have to
Yasmani
admit,
Tomas was one of the models, if I
oh,
remember
don't even get me
correctly.
started on how cute Yasmani Tomas was as a model. He was out here strutting. He was a man on a
Oh,
mission, and
man.
his mission was fashion. It was quite the show. But I remember sitting there looking at them going, really? Like, I was kind of looking around at other people's reaction, and everybody was having a good time and enjoying it. I didn't
Yeah,
feel
you're
like
kinda supposed
in
to
the mud.
cheer, like, you're supposed to
Right.
get excited. You're not really supposed to
But
critique in that moment, right?
when we left out of Chase Field for that event, they had mannequins set up that weren't there on our way in because they hadn't done
Yeah.
the reveal yet. And the mannequins kind of lined the path out of the gates. And the mannequins were all wearing the new jerseys. And I remember walking slowly past them and looking at that gradient print and just shaking my head and being like, I don't know about this. But for some reason, I will say, like, I really like the fact. I'm like, well, at least the hat has it on it too. Like, that made it better. I don't know. I
Yeah,
liked the hat having it on
sure.
it too. It was bad. But Brett also says those Kachina jerseys logo will be the peak of logo jersey design. He's not wrong. And Evan absolutely agrees with him on that. So we thank you guys so much for showing up in the chat. We love every time you do, and we appreciate it.
Yes.
You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Freeman. Our show is at Friedman. Let me pronounce the D in there. Our show is at PHNX _D-backs. But of course, all roads lead to at PHNX _sports. That's on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. If you're watching us right now on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the PHNX Sports channel. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss all of the wonderful content coming out of this network. The other night, Espo was remote, and he had one of our interns come in and sit in a chair, and then he had him place the little thing over the intern so it looked like Espo was in studio.
I
I
really
laughed
wanna have to be remote rather than
until,
in studio. Actually, ooh, can we
yeah.
do that on Thursday?
Yeah, on
'Cause
Thursday,
you're
we'll
in
have an
studio
intern
on
come sit
Thursday.
in, and
Okay.
we'll have
That's
them.
what the
It'll look like your
interns are
body's there.
for, right?
That's what they're there for. They're just there to be your remote body, is what I
Yeah,
will
right.
laugh while that happens too. I can't wait. So again, you can't miss any of the content on PHNX. We thank you guys. If you're listening to us right now on this audio podcast on Wednesday, please subscribe to us if you haven't done so already. Leave us a 5-star review. I've talked about it. It's a 5-star show because Jesse's a 5-star man, and we thank you guys for appreciating him for that. Use our code PHNX over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for a membership at gophnx.com. We promise you the content's going to be flaming hot once we get something to talk about besides, ranking jerseys and how there's no movement on the lockout. We promise once that happens, we'll have some great stuff for you. But of course, we thank you guys so much for watching the show. On behalf of Jesse and myself, we appreciate everybody. We love you all. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but man, it's so much more fun when the jerseys are fire.